Good evening, you dangerous, beautiful anomaly. You ever notice how the whole machine pretends it's bigger than you? It dresses itself in flags, in uniforms, in polished shoes, in briefcases, in cameras on every corner, in polite lies on the news, in speeches that sound like comfort but taste like chains. It wants you to believe the world is held together by official hands, by men with medals on their chest, by people in dark rooms with classified folders, by those cold-eyed creatures who whisper into earpieces and decide what truth gets released and what truth gets buried. Soldiers, secrets. That's what they tell you. That's what they want you to see. But there's a third thing. There is always a third thing. And that third thing is you. Not the watered-down version of you. Not the polite version. Not the version trained to smile on command and apologize for taking up space. Not the version that says, "It is what it is," while your soul is getting put in a chokehold by routine, fear, and fake respectability. No, I'm talking about the part of you that scares people. The part of you they couldn't standardize, couldn't process, couldn't fit into some little Yayar-approved personality box. The part of you that kept surviving things that should have folded you. The part of you that sat in rooms where everybody else was pretending and felt that itch in your chest. Like, something here is rotten, something here is fake, something here is feeding on my silence. That part of you is not an error. That part of you is the missing department. The state runs on soldiers, it runs on secrets, and deeper than both, it runs on the existence of people like you, who were never fully domesticated. Because let's be real, soldiers protect the structure, secrets protect the illusion, but you expose the weakness. You are the glitch in the ceremony. You are the thing they cannot predict, and that makes you dangerous. See, most people go through life asking for permission with their whole body. Permission to speak, permission to leave, permission to dream bigger, permission to be angry, permission to stop being nice to people who keep draining the life out of them, permission to become somebody nobody can ignore. And while they wait, life keeps collecting from them their energy, their hunger, their years. That's the setup. That's how the machine wins. It doesn't need to destroy you in one dramatic moment. That would be too obvious, too cinematic, too easy to fight. No, it just needs to make you doubt yourself a little every day. Just enough. Just enough to keep your fire manageable. Just enough to make you second-guess your instincts. Just enough to convince you that your rage is a flaw instead of a signal. But your rage was never random. Your exhaustion was never laziness. Your numbness was never weakness. Those were messages. Your soul has been trying to get your attention for years. Every time you felt dead in a room full of people. Every time you laughed at a joke and felt empty right after. Every time you said, "I'm fine," while your mind was running laps at 3 a.m. Every time you felt like if you kept living the way you were living, something sacred inside you would rot. That was not drama. That was your inner witness pulling the alarm. And maybe nobody around you understood that. Maybe they called you too intense, too much, too emotional, too dark, too unpredictable. Good. Because the world has enough dead-eyed people performing stability while they're spiritually bankrupt. What it doesn't have enough of is people with the nerve to look at a broken system and say, "I'm not gonna decorate this cage and call it a life." That's what makes your existence unholy to them. Not evil, unholy, because holy to the machine means obedient. Holy means useful. Holy means easy to sort, easy to flatter, easy to threaten, easy to replace. But you are not easy. You are the kind of soul that ruins scripts. And let's not romanticize it either. That kind of existence hurts. It hurts to be the one who sees through people too quickly. It hurts to feel everything under the surface when everyone else is talking in slogans and fake smiles. It hurts to outgrow rooms before you have somewhere better to go. It hurts to know your life could be more, while still being stuck in patterns that make you feel like you're slowly disappearing. That pain is real, but do not confuse painful with pointless. A knife hurts when it cuts. Fire hurts when it refines. Truth hurts when it enters a life built on denial. You are hurting because something inside you is refusing to die quietly. That refusal matters. Do you understand me? That refusal is your power. Because once a person stops accepting psychological handcuffs as normal, the entire architecture around them starts trembling. Once you realize fear has been marketed to you as wisdom, you stop bowing to it. Once you realize guilt has been weaponized to keep you available to everyone except yourself, you stop handing out access like free samples. Once you realize your self-doubt has been fed by years of comparison, dismissal, betrayal, and low-level emotional starvation, you stop treating it like truth. And then people notice. Oh, they notice. The moment you stop shrinking, somebody gets uncomfortable. The moment you stop explaining yourself, somebody feels shut out. The moment you stop saying yes just to keep the peace, somebody accuses you of changing. Of course you changed. What did they expect? That you would keep bleeding just because they liked the version of you that never said no? That you would keep playing soft so the people around you could keep feeling hard? No. No, no, no. There comes a point where surviving is not enough. There comes a point where being the bigger person is just code for being the easier target. There comes a point where healing is no longer candles and affirmations and pretending everything happens for a reason. Sometimes healing is colder than that. Sometimes healing is finally seeing the game. Seeing who only loves you when you're small. Seeing who gets nervous when you become clear. Seeing which habits were never comforts, just sedatives. Seeing that your procrastination isn't always lack of discipline. Sometimes it's grief. Sometimes it's fear of your own scale. Sometimes it's the terror of finding out what happens if you actually go all in and discover you were powerful all along. That's the scary part, isn't it? Not failure. Not really. Not for people like you. Failure hurts, sure. But what really haunts you is the possibility that if you stopped splitting your focus, stopped numbing your mind, stopped running back to what broke you, stopped performing weakness to make other people comfortable, you might become absolutely undeniable. And that's not a cute transformation. That's not a soft glow-up. That is a problem for every force that benefited from your confusion. Because confused people are manageable. Distracted people are profitable. Insecure people are controllable. But a person who knows who they are, a person who has turned pain into clarity, a person who can sit alone without panicking, think for themselves, move in silence and strike with precision. That person shifts the room without raising their voice. That person doesn't need everybody's approval. That person is not begging to be chosen. That person chooses, and selection is power. You need to understand something ugly about the world. A lot of people don't want the best for you. They want access to your light without ever respecting its source. They want your humor, your energy, your loyalty, your ideas, your attention, your softness, your presence in the dark moments, your shoulder, your patience, your forgiveness. But the second you ask for reciprocity, suddenly you're difficult. The second you stop being emotionally convenient, suddenly you're acting different, good. Let them choke on different. Different is the first sign you've stopped volunteering for your own disrespect. You don't need to become heartless, but you do need to become harder to manipulate. There's a difference, a huge one. Being heartless means you stop feeling. Being powerful means you stop folding every time you feel. One is deadness, the other is discipline. And discipline is where your unholy existence stops being a vibe and becomes a weapon. Because let's talk real life. Real life is bills, deadlines, messages left on read, family pressure, dreams that feel too expensive, bodies that are tired, brains that are overclocked, days where your confidence vanishes for no reason, and you still have to function like rent doesn't care how you feel. That's real. That's where this matters. Not in some fantasy where you wake up one day fearless. Fearless is a myth. You will feel fear. You will feel resistance. You will feel old versions of yourself reaching for the wheel. You will feel cravings for comfort, for avoidance, for delay, for one more excuse, one more scroll, one more distraction, one more week of pretending you're preparing when really you're hiding. And in those moments, your power will not come from never shaking. Your power will come from moving while you shake, from sending the email anyway, from starting ugly, from saying no without writing a whole apology novel, from leaving the room that keeps insulting your future, from protecting your mornings, from training your focus like it's a blade, from guarding your attention like it's cash, because it is. Attention is currency now. Everybody wants a piece of your mind. Apps want it. Strangers want it. Algorithms want it. Broken people want it. Old wounds want it. Your past wants it. And if you do not consciously decide where that energy goes, your life will be spent funding things that make you weaker. That's why most people are exhausted. Not because they're incapable, because they are leaking attention, leaking standards, leaking truth, leaking life. And every leak becomes a little permission slip for mediocrity. Not you. That ends when you decide your inner world is not public property. That ends when you stop entertaining every impulse like it deserves a seat at the table. That ends when you realize peace is not passive. Peace is enforced. Peace is protected. Peace is built with boundaries so clean they offend people who are benefiting from your chaos. You want to know what terrifying looks like? It's not screaming. It's not some theatrical display. It's calm. Calm with standards. Calm with memory. Calm with self-respect. Calm that says, I know what happened. I know what this costs me. And I will not be returning to the place where I betrayed myself just to keep somebody else comfortable. That kind of calm changes your face, changes your voice, changes your posture, changes the way weak energy reacts to your presence. And yes, weak energy is real. It's the energy that gossips instead of builds, that envies instead of improves, that mocks discipline because it doesn't have any, that calls ambition doing too much because it has made peace with wasting itself. Protect yourself from that, seriously, because energy is contagious. Hang around enough quitters and your standards start sounding extreme. Hang around enough fake people and honesty starts feeling rude. Hang around enough cowards and your instinct to go for more starts feeling embarrassing. You need better air, better language around you, better expectations, better mirrors, not people who flatter you, people who sharpen you, people who don't panic when you get serious, people who don't laugh at your goals to make their own smaller life feel safer, people who understand that your darkness is not just pain, it's depth, it's pattern recognition, it's survival knowledge. It's the reason you can walk into a room and feel the tension nobody is naming. It's the reason you can tell when somebody's words and spirit aren't matching. It's the reason fake peace has never satisfied you. Your darkness is not something to apologize for. It becomes dangerous only when you leave it unconscious. But when you face it, when you own it, when you stop running from the parts of yourself that are angry, sharp, intense, wounded, hungry, watchful, that's when those parts stop sabotaging you and start serving you. That's when your pain becomes discernment. That's when your loneliness becomes self-trust. That's when your scars become strategy. That's when your silence becomes presence. And suddenly, you're not just reacting to life anymore. You're directing it. That's the shift. That's the line. Most people wait for permission to become themselves. You don't have time for that. You have already lost enough years to hesitation, enough nights to overthinking, enough opportunities to emotional paralysis, enough self-respect to people who loved your potential but feared your transformation. Enough breath to being a side character in your own life. No more. You are not here to be vaguely talented and permanently conflicted. You are not here to have deep thoughts and shallow habits. You are not here to keep saying, one day, like one day isn't built out of what you do today. You're not here to dim that electric, unsettling, impossible to categorize thing inside you just because normal people get nervous around real intensity. Let them be nervous. A lion does not owe the room a softer heartbeat. And listen carefully. You do not need to be perfect to become powerful. That lie has delayed more destinies than fear ever did. Perfection is the favorite drug of procrastination. It whispers, wait till you're fully ready. Wait till your confidence is solid. Wait till your plan is cleaner. Wait till your mood is better. Wait till the timing makes sense. Meanwhile, your life is burning daylight. No, you go now. Messy if needed, tired if needed, unsure if needed, but honest, committed, present. Because momentum will teach you what hesitation never can. And every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, your identity starts shifting. That matters more than motivation. Motivation is moody. Identity is law. When you become the kind of person who does what they said they would do, especially when nobody claps, something sacred locks into place. Now your confidence isn't fantasy. It has evidence. Now your self-respect isn't a quote on a screen. It has weight. Now when your mind starts lying to you, telling you that you're not built for more, you have receipts. You have proof. You have those private moments where you chose discipline over escape, truth over convenience, growth over familiar misery. That is how power is built. Quietly, repeatedly, without needing a witness. And that's what the machine cannot stand, because the machine understands something a lot of people don't. A self-led human being is a threat to every system built on dependency. A person who can think clearly, regulate their impulses, endure discomfort, and stay loyal to their deeper code is hard to sell to, hard to scare, hard to shame, and hard to own. That's you at your highest setting. Not loud for no reason, not reckless, not fake deep, focused, dangerously focused, the kind of focus that can rebuild a body, a bank account, a reputation, a career, a spiritual life, a future, the kind of focused that turns rock bottom into raw material. And maybe you're there right now. Maybe you're in the ashes. Maybe your life doesn't look powerful yet. Maybe you've made embarrassing mistakes. Maybe you trusted people you should have left. Maybe you wasted time. Maybe you've ghosted your own potential so many times, you're ashamed to even look at it directly. Fine. Then let shame become fuel. Let regret become instruction. Let the version of you that keeps sabotaging the mission become somebody you study, not somebody you obey. You are allowed to outgrow even your own patterns. You're allowed to stop identifying with your damage. You are allowed to become unrecognizable to the people who only understood your survival mode. You are allowed to get serious. You are allowed to scare your old excuses. You are allowed to wake up and decide that the era of self-abandonment is over. Because hear this clearly, your existence was never meant to be neat. It was meant to be disruptive, not chaotic for the sake of chaos. Disruptive in the way truth disrupts lies, in the way standards disrupt laziness, in the way self-respect disrupts manipulation, in the way courage disrupts inherited fear. That is your role. That is your edge. The state runs on soldiers. It runs on secrets. And beneath all of it, in the cracks they can't seal, and the rooms they can't control, it runs on the terrifying reality that people like you are still waking up, still remembering, still deciding that enough is enough, still choosing discipline over drift, still choosing clarity over comfort, still choosing the long war over the cheap dopamine hit, still becoming the kind of presence that cannot be gaslit, guilted, bribed, or lulled back to sleep. So stand up inside yourself, right now. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, now. Stand up in your standards, stand up in your decisions, stand up in your silence, stand up in your focus, stand up in your refusal to keep playing small in a world that feeds on hesitation. Because the minute you stop apologizing for your intensity, your life starts changing shape. The minute you stop negotiating with your lower nature, your future gets teeth. The minute you realize that what they called too much was actually the first sign of your real scale, you stop trying to fit inside rooms built for lesser versions of you. And then the world feels it, not because you announced it, because your energy stopped asking, your presence stopped flinching, your eyes stopped pleading, your habits stopped snitching on your potential. Your life stopped bending around people who never intended to honor it. That is what happens when your unholy existence becomes intentional. That is what happens when the darkness in you stops being a wound and becomes a furnace. That is what happens when you stop being one more citizen of your own fear and become the ruler of your inner state. And once that happens, once that really happens, you walk different. You choose different. You tolerate different. You build different. You love different. You cut different. You rise different. And every fake structure around you starts feeling exactly what it tried so hard to prevent. A human being who remembers what they are. Welcome, beautiful outcasts, feared souls, and the ones they never saw coming. You can feel it, can't you? Something shifted. The air around your name ain't the same anymore. The laughs got quieter. The fake smiles got tighter. The people who used to look at you like you were background noise are suddenly watching you like you're a loaded secret with a heartbeat. They heard something, not everything, just enough to ruin their sleep, just enough to make their little inner circle start whispering behind closed doors, just enough to make panic crawl through rooms you've never even stepped in, because they found out who you really come from. And now it's chaos. Now it's that awkward silence when your name pops up. Now it's those weird glances. Now it's the energy shift you can't fake. Now it's the people who ignored you suddenly trying to study you. Now it's the same ones who used to play with your image, acting like they need to move carefully. That's what happens when the truth leaks into a room full of pretenders. See, they were comfortable when they thought you were random. They were bold when they thought you were isolated. They were disrespectful when they thought you had no roots, no force behind you, no story that mattered. They had courage when they mistook your silence for weakness. They had confidence when they assumed your kindness meant you were harmless. They had all the jokes in the world when they thought you came from nowhere. But then one person in their circle found out. One person connected the dots. One person looked a little deeper. One person saw the pattern. One person recognized the blood in your spirit. One person realized that what they were dealing with was not some lost, soft, disposable soul they could use, provoke, erase, or disrespect. And ever since then, the whole mood changed, because people love underestimating you until the file opens, until the history shows up, until the pattern starts making sense, until the spirit behind your eyes starts looking familiar, until they realize your calm was inherited, your fire was inherited, your refusal to break was inherited, your instinct to survive hell and still walk like you own the ashes was inherited. That's when panic starts. Not because you said much, not because you threatened anybody, not because you needed validation, but because truth has a way of entering a room and stripping weak people naked. And weak people hate being exposed. They hate realizing the person they mocked was never ordinary. They hate realizing the one they tried to belittle was carrying something ancient in the soul. They hate realizing the one they tried to isolate actually has a lineage of pressure, endurance, pain, survival, and raw, unteachable presence behind them. They hate that because now they have to revisit every move they made around you, every lie, every cheap shot, every fake alliance, every time they tried to sun you, every time they tried to make you feel small, every time they mistook your patience for permission. Now they're replaying all of it in their heads like a horror movie. And that's the part nobody tells you. When people start finding out who you really are, it doesn't always look like applause first. Sometimes it looks like anxiety. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like gossip. Sometimes it looks like weird tension, strange respect, fake friendliness, and sudden caution. Because some people don't know how to honor power. They only know how to fear it. And your energy, it does something to people. It unsettles the ones who built their confidence on shallow things. It rattles the ones who live off masks. It irritates the ones who can only function when everybody around them is broken, confused, and easy to control. Your presence does damage to systems like that. Not because you talk loud, not because you force attention, but because something about you refuses to kneel where other people were trained to crawl. That's bloodline. And I'm not just talking about family names or public legacy or some shiny story people can post online. No. I'm talking about what runs through your reactions, what shows up when life gets ugly, what wakes up in you when betrayal hits, what stands up inside you when the room turns cold, what keeps you moving when every statistic says you should have folded. That right there is where your real origin lives. It lives in the way you survive things nobody claps for. It lives in the way you carry pain without turning into a beggar for sympathy. It lives in the way your heart gets shattered and somehow still beats with purpose. It lives in the way you walk through humiliation, rejection, abandonment, spiritual warfare, private grief, public disrespect, and still come out with your soul talking reckless to fear. That kind of strength scares people who built themselves out of image. Because they know image can't survive impact. Only substance can. And once their inner circle discovered that you are made of substance, the panic was automatic. Now they're trying to figure out how dangerous you are. Now they're trying to calculate what you know. Now they're trying to guess how far your awareness goes. Now they're wondering if you've always known what they were doing. Now they're asking each other questions they should have asked before they played with your name. Who is this person, really? Why do they stay calm like that? Why don't they chase approval? Why do they bounce back so fast? Why does pressure make them sharper? Why does betrayal make them quieter instead of weaker? Why does pain seem to activate something in them? Because you're not built like them. You don't need a crowd to feel real. You don't need constant noise to feel important. You don't need everybody to understand you. You don't need to explain every layer of yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't need to audition for rooms you were born to disturb. That's what they're finally realizing. And let's be real. A lot of your life has been one long season of being misread. People saw your wounds and thought you were finished. People saw your silence and thought you were empty. People saw your patience and thought you were passive. People saw your losses and thought you were cursed. People saw your softness and thought you were weak. People saw your isolation and thought nobody stood behind you. That's the funny part. They thought because you stood alone, you were alone. No. You stood alone because your spirit was too expensive for cheap company. You stood alone because your mind outgrew the rooms. You stood alone because your discernment started catching things your old heart used to ignore. You stood alone because you had to learn how to hear your own footsteps without needing applause to keep moving. You stood alone because there are seasons where real power gets developed in private. That private season, they never understood it. They thought you were being hidden because you lacked value. You were being hidden because pressure was building. You were being trained in places nobody would survive. You were learning how to read energy without words. You were learning how to survive disappointment without becoming cynical. You were learning how to get betrayed without becoming basic. You were learning how to keep your standards while your heart was bleeding. You were learning how to lose people and not lose yourself. You were learning how to stand in your own skin without begging the room to approve the fit. That is terrifying to people who only know how to function through groupthink. Because groupthink needs your insecurity. Manipulation needs your confusion. Control needs your neediness. And once they realize you've grown past those things, they panic. Not a little, deeply. Because now they can't bait you the same. They can't lure you the same. They can't guilt you the same. They can't use attention as a leash anymore. They can't use exclusion as punishment anymore. They can't make you betray yourself just to be accepted anymore. That version of you is dead, and they know it. That's why sometimes the energy gets weird right before your elevation becomes obvious. That's why people start acting strange when they sense your awareness catching up. That's why the room gets tense when your confidence is no longer fragile. That's why fake friends turn into quiet observers. That's why old enemies start studying instead of attacking. That's why some people start speaking softly around the same soul they used to provoke loudly. They can feel the shift. They know something ancient woke up in you. And let me say this clearly. You didn't become powerful because life was easy on you. You became powerful because life kept trying to break you and failed. That matters. Because there's a difference between people who perform strength and people who were forged in it. There's a difference between confidence that came from compliments and confidence that came from surviving what should have destroyed you. There's a difference between a personality and a presence. Now rejection is turning into standards. Now loneliness is turning into discernment. Now your past is no longer a chain, it's a weapon. And that terrifies the people who benefited from the old version of you. Let them panic. Let them lose sleep trying to decode a person they were too arrogant to appreciate. Let them sit in circles and whisper. Let them overanalyze your silence. Let them wonder whether you know more than you've said. Let them feel the discomfort of realizing they misjudged someone they can no longer manipulate. You spent too much of your life shrinking for fragile people. Too much of your life explaining yourself to those committed to seeing you wrong. Too much of your life trying to look safe, so insecure people wouldn't project their fear onto you. That season is done. You are not here to look harmless. You are here to be whole. And wholeness is intimidating. A whole person is hard to control. A whole person doesn't fold every time the vibe changes. A whole person can walk away from access, attention, money, romance, applause, or status if it costs self-respect. A whole person can sit in silence without panicking. A whole person can be misunderstood without collapsing. A whole person can lose people and still keep direction. A whole person does not need every room. That right there makes weak minds nervous, because weak minds survive by making other people doubt themselves. And you're done doubting. Not because all your questions are gone, not because life is perfect, not because you never hurt, but because something in you finally got tired of abandoning itself to keep the peace. That's the real shift. Not that they found out who you come from. That matters, yes. But the bigger revelation is that you found out who you are. That's what changed the game. Because once you know who you are, manipulation starts glitching. Guilt starts losing volume. Fear starts sounding corny. Intimidation starts looking theatrical. And all those little tactics that used to work on your nervous system start bouncing off. Because your spirit finally stopped negotiating with lies. You know what they were hoping for? They were hoping you'd stay confused, stay eager, stay desperate, stay easy to impress, stay thirsty for crumbs, stay addicted to being chosen by people who couldn't even choose themselves, stay stuck in old wounds, stay reactive, stay explainable, stay tame. But something happened. Life hit you so hard that performance burned off, illusions burned off, naivety burned off, people-pleasing burned off, and what was left was raw, real, focused, hard to fool, harder to shake. That version of you is a problem for anybody who profits from your insecurity. And the truth is, Some of them are not scared because of what you might do to them. They're scared because of what your existence exposes in them. Your discipline exposes their laziness. Your depth exposes their emptiness. Your endurance exposes their fragility. Your standards expose their manipulation. Your self-respect exposes how cheaply they sold themselves. Your clarity exposes their games. Your growth exposes how stagnant they've been. That's why your presence irritates them without you saying a word. Because your life is a mirror they didn't ask for, and mirrors make cowards furious. You have to understand this so you stop personalizing every weird reaction. Not everybody who gets nervous around you is responding to something you did. A lot of them are reacting to what you represent. You represent survival without permission, growth without validation, power without noise, faith without performance, restraint without weakness, mystery without dishonesty, pain without surrender. That combination is rare, and rare things make fake systems unstable. So when their inner circle found out who you really come from, what they actually discovered was that your story has weight, your silence has context, your standards have ancestry, your refusal to break has history, your intuition has roots, your comeback was never random. There are people who survive by copying trends. Then there are people like you who carry something older than trends, something deeper than image, something that doesn't need branding to be real. And you know what's wild? Most of your power developed while nobody was cheering, while nobody was reposting, while nobody was checking in, while nobody was betting on you, while you were sitting with heartbreak, while you were swallowing disappointment, while you were staring at ceilings at hours nobody talks about, while you were piecing yourself together in private, while you were fighting mental wars with a straight face in public, while you were learning how to keep going when it felt like your soul had blisters. That is where real authority is born, not in popularity, in pressure. A personality can be copied, a presence can't. And that's what their inner circle sensed. Not just your story, your presence, that pressure in your silence, that edge in your calm, that dignity in your restraint, that danger in your self-control, that unspoken thing in your eyes that says, I have survived things you would use as excuses. That message right there shakes people, especially the ones who got comfortable disrespecting you when you were still healing, because now healing is turning into authority. Now pain is turning into precision. Now grief is turning into wisdom. That's why you need to stop envying people who had softer roads. Some of them got comfort. You got construction. Some of them got applause. You got depth. Some of them got shortcuts. You got substance. Some of them got early visibility. You got internal power. And internal power reaches different. It doesn't expire when trends change. It doesn't vanish when people leave. It doesn't collapse when money gets funny. It doesn't disappear when the room gets cold. It stays. That's why what's coming for you is different. Not easy, different. Because now you move with awareness. Now you read what isn't being said. Now you value peace more than attention. Now you know the difference between chemistry and chaos. Now you can feel when energy is off before words confirm it. Now you can walk away without writing a whole speech to justify it. Now you can choose yourself without calling it selfish. Now you can protect your future without feeling guilty toward people committed to your stagnation. That is growth. That is bloodline. That is what they're panicking over. They know the old scripts won't work. You won't beg the same. You won't chase the same. You won't tolerate the same. You won't over-explain the same. You won't return to spaces that drained your light just because they suddenly learned your worth. You won't let late recognition manipulate you into old access. No. If they didn't know how to value your spirit when it was quiet, they don't automatically deserve your presence just because they're scared now. Fear is not respect. Panic is not loyalty. Curiosity is not care. Learn that. Please learn that. Because once your value becomes visible, a lot of people will come close not to love you, but to manage the threat of losing access to you. Read that energy correctly. Some invitations are not honor. They are surveillance. Some compliments are not appreciation. They are information gathering. Some kindness is not genuine. It is strategy. Some sudden support is not loyalty. It is delayed calculation. And you, right now, need discernment more than you need applause. Because this next chapter of your life is not just about becoming stronger. It's about becoming harder to fool. It's about becoming harder to seduce away from purpose. It's about becoming harder to emotionally blackmail. It's about becoming the kind of person who can carry power without letting ego turn it stupid. That matters, because power without discernment becomes self-destruction. But power with discernment, that becomes legacy. And legacy is not just what people remember when you die. Legacy is what your life teaches while you're still here. Legacy is the standard you normalize. Legacy is the boundary you no longer apologize for. Legacy is the example you set when you refuse to betray your soul for temporary acceptance. Legacy is the way you turn your pain into architecture instead of addiction. That's your real revenge, not drama, not chaos, not proving yourself to every doubter, not screaming in every room that got your name wrong. Your real revenge is becoming unrecognizable to the version of you that used to settle. Your real revenge is becoming so aligned that fake love can't reach you. So clear that manipulation gets spotted early. So grounded that attention doesn't intoxicate you. So disciplined that temptation starts looking cheap. So whole that abandonment no longer feels like proof of your unworthiness. So dangerous in your peace that people can feel the boundary before you even speak it. That's what makes them panic. Because they were ready for the wounded you. They were ready for the confused you. They were ready for the eager to please you. They were ready for the one who still needed outside approval to feel solid. They were ready for the you that could be baited by flattery or guilt or fear of exclusion. They were not ready for this version, the one who can smile and still say no, the one who can care and still walk away, the one who can forgive and still never give access again, the one who can be kind without being naive, the one who can feel deeply without drowning in every emotion, the one who can love hard and still keep standards, the one who can stand alone without shaking. That version changes the whole room. So let them panic. Let them feel the consequence of misreading a soul that was never meant to stay small. Let them hear your name and get uncomfortable. Let them remember every time they laughed too early. Let them wonder whether the person they dismissed is now the one they should have respected from the start. Let them sit with that. You keep building, keep training your mind, keep protecting your peace, keep sharpening your instincts, keep refusing fake urgency, keep loving yourself enough to disappoint people who only liked the broken version of you. Keep walking like your existence has weight. because it does. You come from survivors. You come from fire. You come from prayers that refuse to die. You come from lessons carved into pain. You come from resilience that doesn't make sense on paper. You come from a line of pressure bearers, storm walkers, smile-through-hell souls who learned how to hold dignity with blood in the mouth and faith in the chest. That is why you're still here. That is why they can't figure you out. That is why every hit didn't finish you. That is why your eyes still have that strange calm in them. That is why your comeback energy feels different. That is why panic started the moment they found out who you really come from. Because now they know. You were never the weak one in the story. You were the one becoming. You feel that, don't you? That strange shift in the air, that pressure, that tension, that weird little energy people throw at you when your name starts carrying weight in rooms you haven't even walked into yet. Some people call it jealousy. Some call it hate. Some call it bad vibes. Some dress it up in spiritual language because it sounds deeper. But you know what it really is? It is panic. It is the panic of people who realized you did not break the way they expected. It is the panic of people who whispered on your downfall and then had to watch you get sharper in the fire. It is the panic of people who sent doubt, shade, betrayal, manipulation, envy, fake support, weird energy, silent sabotage, and every ugly little piece of themselves in your direction, only to find out your soul does not digest poison the way theirs does. Yours turns it into fuel. That is why their spell hit your aura and got eaten alive, not blocked, not dodged, not politely returned to sender, eaten alive. Because there comes a point in your life where you stop being fragile in the places people were counting on. There comes a point where every cry, every betrayal, every lonely night, every humiliating moment, every time you were overlooked, every time people played with your name like it was cheap, all of it starts building something inside you that is not normal anymore. You become spiritually dangerous. Not because you became evil, because you stopped being easy to access. See, a lot of people misunderstand power. They think power is loud. They think power is revenge. They think power is proving yourself to every clown with an opinion and every snake with a smile. No. Real power is when people try to disturb your peace and end up exposing their own weakness. Real power is when somebody sends you chaos and your inner world is so disciplined, so locked in, so battle-tested that their darkness has nowhere to land. It just burns up on contact. That is what terrifies them about you. It is not just that you survived. It is how calm you got after surviving. That kind of calm scares people. That kind of calm does not come from comfort. It comes from war. You did not become this because life was soft with you. You became this because life dragged you through seasons that should have erased you. Seasons where nobody checked on you. Seasons where you had to smile in public and bleed in private. Seasons where your own mind was a battlefield. Seasons where people only loved the version of you they could control. Seasons where you gave your heart to people who only knew how to use it as a temporary shelter while they built strength to leave. And somehow, through all of that, you learned something most people never learn. Pain can either make you easier to destroy or harder to reach. You chose the second one. That is why nonsense does not hit you the same anymore. That is why fake love does not seduce you the same anymore. That is why disrespect lights something in you now instead of collapsing you. That is why when people try to project their curses, their insecurity, their evil eye, their little broken world thinking onto you. Your aura does not panic. It feeds. Because your spirit has seen worse than another person's bitterness. Your spirit has survived your own darkest days. And once you've survived the war inside yourself, outside attacks start looking real small. That is the part nobody talks about. People love the glow. They love the confidence. They love the mysterious energy. They love the way you walk into a space and somehow the room adjusts. But they do not understand what it cost. They do not understand that your aura is expensive because suffering paid for it. Your discernment was paid for in heartbreak. Your boundaries were paid for in betrayal. Your self-respect was paid for in all the moments you begged the wrong people to see your worth. Your silence was paid for in years of explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. So now when somebody sends weird energy your way, your soul recognizes the pattern before your mind even finishes naming it. You can feel when someone is smiling with their mouth and resenting you with their spirit. You can feel when support is fake. You can feel when a compliment has poison tucked inside it. You can feel when somebody is watching you not to admire you, but to study your light and figure out how to interrupt it. And the old you might have ignored that. The old you might have doubted yourself. The old you might have called it overthinking. But the version of you standing here now, that version knows. That version reads energy like subtitles. That version is no longer available for confusion. And that changes everything, because once you stop second-guessing what your spirit already picked up, you move different. You speak less. You reveal less. You beg less. You trust slower. You protect your peace like it is sacred because it is. You stop treating your access like a charity program for people who have done nothing but mishandle your presence. And people notice. Oh, they notice. They notice when they can't get a reaction out of you anymore. They notice when your silence starts feeling heavier than their noise. They notice when your glow gets brighter after every attempt to drain you. They notice when their gossip does not shrink you. They notice when rejection does not slow you down. They notice when distance does not weaken your confidence. They notice when the stuff that used to break you now just upgrades you. That is when the attacks get weirder. Because when insecure people cannot control your emotions, they start trying to disturb your spirit. When they cannot compete with your discipline, they start resenting your peace. When they cannot access your mind, they start hoping fear can. But what they do not understand is this. Your aura is not soft just because it is light. Some light is not decoration. Some light is a weapon. Some light is fire. Some light was born in places so dark that darkness can never intimidate it again. That is your energy now. You are not glowing because life is perfect. You are glowing because hell could not hold you. Read that in your chest. You are not rising because nobody touched you. You are rising because everything they threw at you got processed, crushed, absorbed, and turned into momentum. That betrayal, it sharpened your discernment. That abandonment, it taught you how to stand alone without becoming empty. That disrespect, it forced you to meet the version of yourself that no longer negotiates with nonsense. That season of loss, it stripped the fake from your life and left you face to face with what is real. That smear campaign, it trained you to stop needing applause from people with rotten intentions. That heartbreak, it broke your illusions, not your destiny. And once illusions die, power gets clearer. Now you see things faster. Now you leave sooner. Now you do not romanticize red flags. Now you do not hand your energy to people just because they know how to say the right words. Because words are cheap. Energy tells the truth. Pattern tells the truth. Consistency tells the truth. Pressure tells the truth. And you, out of all the painful lessons, learned how to watch what people do when they are jealous, when they are losing, when they are exposed, when they are ignored, when they realize they cannot manipulate you anymore. That is where the mask slips. That is where you saw it. That is where you understood that not everybody around you was clapping because they believed in you. Some were clapping because they thought you would never outgrow them. Some were smiling because they assumed your ceiling was low. Some were encouraging you only as long as your confidence stayed harmless. But then something changed. You stopped asking for permission to evolve. You stopped apologizing for becoming harder to play with. You stopped shrinking your presence to make insecure people comfortable. You stopped turning down your brightness just because other people built identities around dim rooms. And once you did that, their energy got loud, not your problem. Let them choke on the fact that you healed. Let them sit with the discomfort of watching somebody they underestimated become untouchable. Let them deal with the reality that your peace is no longer available for public sabotage. Because this is what they never expected. They thought your heart would stay open in a naive way forever. They thought your kindness meant weakness. They thought your patience meant permission. They thought your silence meant you did not notice. They thought your compassion meant you would keep giving chances until there was nothing left of you. Wrong. You just had to learn. And once people like you learn, you do not go back. That is why your presence feels different now. There is warmth, yes. There is depth, yes. There is soul, yes. But there is also danger. There's also a line. There is also a force field built from lessons you paid for in blood, tears, time, and dignity. Now when energy comes at you crooked, it does not just fail. It reveals itself. That is the beauty of a strong aura. It exposes people without you having to argue. You do not need to announce who is fake. Your peace will make them uncomfortable enough to expose themselves. You do not need to scream when betrayal enters the room. Truth has a way of making unstable people itch. You do not need to fight every battle. Some battles end the moment your spirit refuses to carry what was never yours. And that is a lesson a lot of people need to hear today. Not everything thrown at you belongs to you. Not every insult deserves internal storage. Not every opinion deserves rent in your mind. Not every attack deserves a response. Not every evil eye deserves your fear. Some things are supposed to hit your aura and disintegrate because they were never built to survive contact with a soul that has done its inner work. That inner work matters. It matters more than image, more than aesthetics, more than talk, more than quotes and captions and pretending to be healed online, because life will test what social media cannot see. Life will test your spirit in empty rooms. Life will test your peace when money gets funny. Life will test your confidence when love disappears. Life will test your discipline when nobody is watching. Life will test your faith when you are tired, misunderstood, and tempted to become something ugly just because ugly touched you first. And that right there is where your real power was built. Not in performance, in private, in those moments where you could have become bitter and chose clarity. where you could have become cruel and chose restraint, where you could have become chaotic and chose control, where you could have become desperate and chose standards, where you could have begged for crumbs and chose solitude instead. That is why your aura has teeth now, because your healing was not passive, it was warfare. You had to wrestle your own doubts. You had to sit with your own wounds. You had to break soul ties. You had to outgrow old versions of yourself that kept trying to drag you back to the familiar. You had to stop romanticizing people who only loved you in ways that kept you small. You had to stop betraying yourself just to avoid being alone. You had to stop answering every call from chaos like it had your name on it. You had to rebuild your mind brick by brick when life knocked the whole structure down. And now, look at you. Harder to fool, harder to shake, harder to manipulate, harder to bait, harder to curse. That did not happen by accident. That happened because somewhere along the line you realized your life was too valuable to keep being spiritually available to everybody. So now your energy filters people before your mouth even says a word. Now your body tells you when something is off. Now your intuition sounds louder than somebody's pretty lies. Now your peace matters more than being liked. Now your alignment matters more than fitting in. And yes, that will make some people call you distant, cold, different, too much, hard to read, too intense. Let them. People always label what they cannot access. People always criticize what they cannot contaminate. People always mock what they secretly fear. And what they fear in you is not your anger. It is your immunity. They cannot stand that what used to work on other people no longer works on you. They cannot stand that guilt does not control you. They cannot stand that flattery does not hypnotize you. They cannot stand that silence does not scare you. They cannot stand that walking away does not kill you. They cannot stand that being alone no longer looks like punishment on you. It looks like power. That changes the game. Because a person who is no longer afraid to lose people becomes very difficult to control. A person who has already survived being abandoned becomes very difficult to threaten. A person who learned to validate themselves becomes very difficult to manipulate. A person who found peace in their own company becomes very difficult to trap with fake intimacy. That is you now. You are no longer standing in life with a hungry spirit begging strangers to tell you who you are. You know who you are. And because you know, nonsense has lost its magic. That is why their spell got eaten alive. Because their spell required insecurity to survive. It required self-doubt. It required your agreement. It required your confusion. It required you to still be small inside. But you are not small inside anymore. You have been cracked open too many times. You have seen too much. You have outgrown too many illusions. You have carried too much weight to still be threatened by petty energy. Now when darkness comes near you, it finds structure. It finds awareness. It finds a mind that has been retrained. It finds a spirit that has already walked through internal hell and came back with a crown made of nerve. And there is something beautiful about that. Something savage, something holy, because you did not just survive ugly seasons. You made them useful. That is mastery, turning poison into perspective, turning betrayal into boundaries, turning grief into depth, turning loneliness into self-respect, turning rejection into redirection, turning spiritual attack into proof that your light has become too expensive for weak people to afford. Read your own life correctly. Not everybody hates you because you did something wrong. Not everybody distances themselves because you failed. Not every weird shift is random. Sometimes your growth irritates people who built comfort out of your old wounds. Sometimes your healing offends people who benefited from your confusion. Sometimes your confidence triggers people who only felt powerful when you were doubting yourself. Sometimes your discipline exposes people whose whole identity is built on excuses. Sometimes your peace becomes a mirror, and insecure people hate mirrors. That is not your burden to carry. Your burden is to stay clean inside, to stay sharp, to stay aware, to stay rooted, to keep your soul clear enough that when something dark comes near you, it has no matching frequency to latch onto. That is the real flex, not pretending nothing touches you, but becoming so aligned that what touches you gets transformed. You still feel pain. You still get disappointed. You still have moments where the pressure is heavy and the human part of you gets tired. But even in that, there is something different now. You recover faster. You see clearer. You come back stronger. You no longer drown in things that used to define your whole week, your whole month, your whole identity. Now you process, you learn, you cut cords, you reset, you move. That is growth. That is spiritual muscle. That is what makes your aura predatory to weak energy. Because weak energy needs an opening. Weak energy needs chaos inside you. Weak energy needs wounds you refuse to heal. Weak energy needs you addicted to external validation. Weak energy needs you emotionally messy and spiritually asleep. But every time you choose discipline over drama, you close the gate. Every time you choose truth over illusion, you close the gate. Every time you choose peace over proving a point, you close the gate. Every time you choose self-respect over fake connection, you close the gate. Every time you choose to sit with yourself and do the ugly inner work nobody can clap for, you close the gate. And eventually, your energy becomes the kind that ugly intentions cannot digest. They bounce, they burn, they starve, they get eaten alive. So let them throw what they throw. Let them watch, let them whisper, let them study your moves from a distance and still fail to understand why you keep rising. Because what they are looking at is not luck. It is not random. It is not just vibes. It is the result of a soul that stopped playing with its own power. It is the result of a person who finally understood that protecting your peace is not selfish. It is survival. That saying no is not cruelty. It is clarity. That walking away is not weakness. It is wisdom. That being selective is not arrogance. It is self-respect. That silence is not emptiness. It is control. And control scares people who only know how to operate in confusion. So keep becoming harder to curse. Keep becoming harder to access. Keep becoming harder to read for people who do not deserve a map to your inner world. Keep becoming so whole that envy cannot enter without exposing itself. Keep becoming so disciplined that chaos gets tired trying to seduce you. Keep becoming so rooted that manipulation feels childish the second it gets near your spirit. Because this world is full of people who will smile and still hope you fail. Full of people who will praise your face and resent your existence. Full of people who will say they love your light while secretly waiting for dimmer days. But none of that has to own you. None of that has to stain you. None of that has to rewrite your story. You are not here to carry the projections of broken people. You are not here to shrink because somebody else is disturbed by your evolution. You are not here to explain your glow to people committed to darkness. You are here to become so real, so clear, so internally powerful that whatever comes against you leaves weaker than it arrived. That is the energy. That is the standard. That is why the room changes when you walk in now. That is why people feel you before you speak. That is why some love you, some envy you, some misunderstand you, and some cannot even make eye contact for long. Your aura tells the truth before your mouth does. And today, whether they call it a spell, a curse, an evil eye, jealousy, sabotage, fake love, bad energy, manipulation, or plain old hate, it does not matter, because whatever they sent found the wrong soul. It found somebody who turned suffering into strength. It found somebody who stopped bleeding for an audience. It found somebody who stopped negotiating with disrespect. It found somebody whose spirit learned how to eat darkness and still ask for more.